At the time, standing between a loaded gun and a life of hardship in Savin, the Smith brothers seemed like a good option. It was only later that Rachel realized they were her only choice. She was a reacher, able to read and manipulate the minds of others. And she was a wanted woman. The government would see her dissected. Criminals would put her out to work. She tried to live under the radar, but they had found her. It was only a matter of time before it happened again. She had no choice but to run, so she ran, with them. But the road ahead was dark and cold and dangerous. But the men she had thrown her lot in with were darker and colder and infinitely more dangerous. They barely spoke. The pair, so accustomed to life together, they didn't need to chat. Rachel had that once when she travelled with her own family, fleeing war in Red Forest. Since then she lost her family. Since then she had been alone. So Rachel sat in the back of their stolen car, suffering the silence and listening to the doubts in her head. What did she really know about them? The younger brother, John, was a ruthless killer. He dropped body after body with machine-like efficiency, and not once in the time since had he shown any remorse. And Charlie? Well, Charlie was even more broken, an addict sliding down a pitiful spiral of his own making. He was a reacher like Rachel, but his dependency on painkillers had rendered him close to useless. They came to her rescue, but they weren't heroes, so what kind of men were they? They were a day out of Savin, cruising the back roads of the south of England, trying to lose any tales that might have followed them out of the shanty town. They had left a lot of bodies in their wake. Even Rachel had blood on her hands, and, as the night started to break, she felt the ghosts of aging gangsters and dirty cops watching them from the open road. The running game, that's what her father had called it. The surrounding countryside was desolate, made even emptier by the impending winter breathing an icy threat from the north. The temperature had dropped, green turning to grey. Every now and again another vehicle would pass, reminding Rachel that despite the desolation, there was still life out there. At the sight of each set of headlights, the brothers tensed. Rachel had grown accustomed to doing it herself, too. There were rumours about the country folk, and she was from the Red Forest in the north. She'd seen isolation turn reasonable people into raving lunatics. In the back of their cramped car, Rachel huddled up as best she could. She was cold and hungry. A bag full of money occupied the space beside her. She owned 1/3 of the cash, more than she'd ever had in her life, but she would have traded it all in for a thicker jacket and a protein bar. "Open service station in 15, John said. "Car needs fuel." "We need to stock up too. Might as well do it in one trip." Outside, faint rays of purple touched the barren landscape. Rachel couldn't imagine they would find food or fuel in a place like this. Then the small road widened. They passed another car and hit a crossroad. John took an immediate right, clenching the steering wheel as they hit a larger stretch of tarmac. The scenery opened up, scarred by the stretch of road running into the horizon. There were more cars in the distance, all moving at a fast, constant speed. John's head lashed around. He slowed the car, hitting a steady 50 rather than matching the other vehicles. "What's wrong?" Rachel asked, feeling the air in the car tighten. "Nothing. John's just being overcautious," Charlie assured her.